Hello guys, welcome back to another video by SSA Athletics. Please do subscribe, helps this channel out a lot to help spread our message in order to help those young kids and young adults with their athletic journey. Today we'll be re-looking at foam rolling. Now if you want to see my video on foam rolling, click the card here, or alternatively you can see the link in the description. Foam rolling or myofascial release is great, it's like a self-massage. However, not many people can necessarily afford the foam rollers even though they're relatively cheap. Now, what other alternatives are there if you cannot afford one or you cannot find a foam roller? Well, I'm going to give you an idea today on how you can potentially achieve this, utilising everyday household items. Now guys, if you want to know how to foam roll, I really suggest you watch that video as mentioned prior. This will give you the techniques and the tips on how to foam roll generally. Watch that, then come into this video to see how you can apply that to everyday household items. All you need is some kind of cylindrical object. Today we're going to be using water bottles, or a lemonade and a water bottle. Yes, I know lemonade's not particularly that healthy, but we're utilising it just as an example of what you can potentially use. Guys, what I would say is try to be careful in what you use. Some things may hurt you potentially, so it's all down to the ability of the athlete and what they feel comfortable in using. We've got the lemonade bottle, which is a lot harder because of the CO2 content and the fact that it has to be sealed tight. So that is a lot harder of an object to use. Alternatively, you can use a water bottle, which is a bit softer. Both of them have been full, so they won't spill everywhere. But once you open up the fizzy drink, it becomes soft, and we lose that effect we're trying to achieve. That and potential for spillages. So what we're going to use, we're going to utilise the lemonade bottle, and just like before we're going to foam roll our calf as an example. We're placing our foot placing our foot, or just above the foot by the Achilles tendon, onto the foam roller, in this case our lemonade bottle. Just like a foam roller, you will roll it around like so, trying to get different angles. Remember guys, range, as in the length of the muscle you're trying to get. Speed, try and vary the speed, fast and slow. Pressure, try and apply less or more pressure depending on what you need to do. And don't forget angle. Now the next one we're going to potentially use. We're going to use this cellophane to foam roll the quads down. Now you can potentially do the hamstring as well. And you could also, if you really wanted to, utilise rolling pin. So if you're into Great British Bake Off and your mum and dad's really interested in baking, pinch one of them and they'll be really happy for you, or do it. Now, utilising our piece of cellophane, you can utilise a rolling pin as mentioned before. This is trying to replicate what the foam roller known as the wand does. And what we're going to try and do is place it on the muscle, and we're basically going to roll it down our quad like so. You can hold it still or you can let it roll up and down depending on what you prefer. The inside, this is what we're attempting to try and do to the muscle. Trying to get different angles on that quad. You get the whole range through my incredibly white legs. Like so. Now our other option we're going to use is this tennis ball here. And this here, we're going to first of all start utilising it on the underside of our foot. So what we're going to do with this ball is we're literally going to roll it underside of the foot. Not the ball of the foot, not the heel of the foot. The underside between the heel and the balls of the feet, or the forefoot. and we're going to roll it around in different angles. Now this is the only way I know that you could potentially do this. And it's important that we do these kind of exercises. It's important that kids walk around with bare feet because they need to strengthen those underside muscles in the foot if they want to become a good runner or a good sprinter. Often it can get tight there, and these muscles aren't particularly strong because we walk around in shoes and trainers. And what does that mean? Is simply that they can get tight, they can pull, they can strain, and they can potentially strain on these muscles up here, the gross muscles within your calf. They don't necessarily get that dorsiflex action that we potentially need from our feet as they come down and strike the ground. This can impair the power we can get from the ground if you cannot get the flexibility from dorsiflexion to plantar flexion to push off the ground. This is the same in both in the jumping events as well. If you cannot drive off that board, you're going to lose potentially at least a few centimeters off your jump because of the power that derives from that action. The way we can remedy that is simply walking in bare feet or having a towel and trying to scrunch the towel up underneath your feet. I've kind of gone off point here, but in order to foam roll the underside of the foot, we want to go in multiple directions, like so. At different angles, different speeds, and unlike a foam roller, we can actually rotate the ball round in order to get these angles. There isn't much length involved, range involved, because of the short amount of muscle groups you use for rolling. Now guys, you will not be able to necessarily see this well, but we'll give it a go. You can utilise this on the underside of, let's say, your hamstring, or your calf, or your, like so. It's probably far better on the calf, if truth be told. But likewise, for those gross muscle groups, we really need a bigger ball in order to do this. Likewise, we can do it on the quad as well. But it's tremendously difficult to do so. And as like I mentioned before, you need a far bigger ball if you want to do it. Likewise, we can do these with other types of balls that you may have around the house, like a golf ball. I'm using a tennis ball just as an example, because these are readily available. What some people, quite a lot of people utilise are hockey balls, but in my personal opinion, they are far too hard generally. Unless you're really stiff and you really need to get in there, you could use a hockey ball. But for younger kids, probably not necessary. For the older adults, maybe. One option a lot of people do utilise are lacrosse balls, because they can maintain that hardness, but there is a bit of give in them. That's the reason why people like to utilise them in foam rolling. They're also a relatively nice size to utilise. Now, those makeshift foam rollers will never necessarily beat the actual thing. They're not better than foam rollers and other myofascial equipment. Now, if you guys are interested in this, if mum and dad's interested in this, there's affiliate links down below where you can buy these particular products. But don't feel pressured that you have to buy this product. It's not saying that you need to buy it. Don't feel pressured into buying it. But if you like to, there's a link down below. And that's because these are specifically designed for myofascial release, for self-massage, for foam rolling. And that they are not as good as these. So I highly recommend, if you can, invest in a foam roller. But if you can't, there are other options available within your house, or cheaper options potentially, although foam rolling isn't necessarily not cheap, but there are other options available just in case you haven't got one to hand. I'm Adam McCarthy, this is SSAF Athletics, and I will see you in the next one.